Have you ever felt trapped inside your own head? Not just overthinking, but being chased by your own thoughts. Haunted by possibilities that only you seem to notice. Everyone around you looks fine, while you're silently fighting a battle inside. Some of us live with something far beyond normal anxiety. But it's hard to tell the difference because from the outside, OCD and GD may look the same. Both involve anxiety. Both can make life feel like a constant trap. But zoom in a little closer, and you'll see. The path is different, the pain is different, and so is the way to healing. When the mind becomes a prison. Imagine waking up in the morning. The sun is shining, birds are chirping, but in your head, a storm is already raging. There's an uneasy feeling without a clear reason. A small whisper in your mind twists your logic, spreading fear that something terrible is going to happen, even though everything seems fine. This is what millions of people experience every day. Whether it's because of Generalized Anxiety Disorder, GD, or Obsessive-Compulsive Disorder, OCD. Both look similar on the surface: anxiety, fear, overthinking. But if we dive deeper, we'll find that OCD and GD are like two different prisons. They both confine, but with different locks and bars. GD is like having a radio in your head that never turns off. It's not always loud, but it's always there. Your thoughts are like a never-ending ocean of worries about work, health, family, the future, even whether you washed your hands enough today. But none of these worries have clear conclusions. You feel like you need to prepare for every worst-case scenario, even if it never comes. Every decision feels like a ticking time bomb. You're afraid to make mistakes, afraid to disappoint, afraid to regret. So, you analyze everything to absurd levels, hoping that by overthinking, you can control the future. Meanwhile, OCD isn't just anxiety. It's an internal terror that comes in the form of intrusive thoughts, bizarre, unwanted, and disturbing. And to quiet that terror, a powerful urge arises to perform repetitive behaviors, rituals. Checking if the door is locked, washing hands countless times, praying in a specific order, or repeating words in your head. Not because you're forgetful or bored, but because if you don't, it feels like the world will collapse, and it'll be your fault. This isn't perfectionism. It's a fear of the most extreme, horrifying possibilities that you try to prevent through tiny, time-consuming acts that drain your energy. People with GD often recognize that their worries are excessive, yet can't stop them. People with OCD know their thoughts are irrational, yet still feel compelled to perform rituals. One feels like being pulled by a strong current. The other feels like spinning endlessly in a whirlpool. And perhaps the most painful part, they both often feel ashamed of what they're going through, as if they had a choice in the matter. But in truth, they're fighting unseen monsters every day, without rest. One world, two paths, understanding the core differences. The most striking difference between OCD and GD lies in the shape and focus of the anxiety. GD spreads everywhere. It's a vague, all-consuming tension. OCD, on the other hand, is extremely specific. It locks someone into a cruel loop of obsessions and compulsions. Let's look at two real-life examples. Alia, who lives with GD, feels like a dark cloud hangs over her head daily. She worries about failing at work, disappointing her parents, and fears for her future. But none of these worries can be truly resolved because once one goes away, 5 more show up. She can't sleep well. She can't eat peacefully. Life feels overwhelming, even when nothing is actually wrong. She tries to comfort herself by saying, "Everything will be okay," but that phrase echoes hollowly. Because she isn't fighting reality, she's fighting imagined disasters that live inside her. Reza, who has OCD, can't look at a knife in the kitchen without intrusive thoughts of harming someone he loves. He knows it's irrational and not in line with who he is. But the thoughts refuse to stop. So he hides all sharp objects, prays obsessively each night to make sure these evil thoughts don't come true, and lives in constant guilt over something he never even did. Not because he wants to harm, but because his brain lies to him so convincingly that he starts to believe he's dangerous. GD is an exhausting worry without a clear root. OCD is a horrifying, specific mental loop that refuses to let go. Recognizing this difference is crucial. Misidentifying one as the other can lead to improper treatment. Some people with undiagnosed OCD think they just have anxiety and end up stuck in a cycle of suffering. Accurate understanding brings hope because we can't fight what we don't understand. What's really happening in the brain? Let's be clear, OCD and GD are not just about negative thinking. They have real neurological roots. Too often, people blame themselves, thinking it's about weak faith or a lack of gratitude. But this is about a nervous system that's out of balance. In OCD, the orbitofrontal cortex and caudate nucleus are hyperactive. This causes the brain to keep sending danger signals, even when there's no real threat. The brain becomes like a fire alarm that won't stop ringing, even though there's no fire. Compulsions arise as attempts to turn off the alarm, if only for a moment. Ironically, the more we obey these compulsions, the stronger the alarm becomes next time. It's like creating a superhighway in the brain. The more it's used, the faster and more automatic it becomes. In GD, the overactivity lies more in the amygdala, the fear and emotion center. The amygdala becomes hypersensitive to potential threats. Even small things can trigger large anxiety responses. The body is stuck in a fight or flight mode constantly, ready to flee from a danger that never arrives. That's why people with GD often feel restless, breathless, have rapid heartbeats, tight muscles, and get tired easily. Their brain is sprinting, even when they're just sitting still. This isn't about weakness or lack of faith. It's about a nervous system that's stuck in overdrive. So, just relax or don't overthink. It won't help. What truly helps is understanding that their brain is asking for support, not judgment. The road to recovery is slow, but possible. Both OCD and GD are manageable, but the paths to healing differ. And let's be clear, healing isn't just about removing symptoms. It's about learning to live alongside anxiety without being enslaved by it. For OCD, the most effective therapy is exposure and response prevention, ERP. This involves gradually facing fears without performing compulsions. For example, if someone fears contamination and normally washes hands 20 times, ERP trains them to touch something dirty and resist washing. The goal isn't torture, it's retraining the brain to realize nothing bad happens. Over time, the danger signal weakens. It's incredibly tough because it requires the courage to sit with fear without instantly soothing it. But that's where strength is built, in learning to tolerate discomfort. For GD, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is highly effective. CBT helps people identify irrational thought patterns and replace them with healthier ones. GD also benefits greatly from mindfulness, meditation, and breathing exercises that help calm the nervous system. These aren't quick fixes. They're like building muscles. They require consistency, time, and patience. But with the right guidance, change is possible. Medication can also play a role in recovery. Antidepressants like SSRIs can help stabilize brain activity. This isn't about dependency. It's about giving someone a bridge to greater stability so they can engage in therapy more effectively. Recovery isn't linear. There are highs, lows, setbacks, and pauses. But as long as you keep walking, you're on the right path. What matters isn't how fast you heal, but how consistently you try. You're not crazy. You're human. One of the deepest wounds of having a mental disorder is the sense of isolation. Feeling weird. Feeling broken. But hear this. You are not alone. And you are not defective. People with OCD and GD are incredible fighters. They wake up and live their lives each day, with noise in their heads and fears they can't always explain. They work, study, love, care for others even while trying to survive themselves. Sometimes their biggest battles are invisible, but that doesn't mean they aren't real. If you are one of them, this isn't the end. This isn't your definition. You are more than your diagnosis. You are someone learning to live more honestly, more healthily, and with more compassion for yourself. And that is a powerful kind of bravery. Accepting yourself doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing to love yourself, even when your own mind is your battlefield. And if you love someone with OCD or GED, listen to them. Don't tell them, just stop thinking about it. Instead, sit with them as they try to understand their thoughts. Don't say they're overreacting. Instead, hug them when their world feels like it's falling apart. Sometimes a single, "I understand, you're not alone," can be the best medicine they receive that day. Your support can be their anchor when their inner seas are stormy. Don't underestimate the power of simply being there. OCD and GED are real conditions. They can't be fixed with quick advice or empty motivation, but they can be managed with the right help, deep understanding, and enough time. This video is not a substitute for medical diagnosis. If you feel you may have symptoms of OCD or GED, please reach out to a mental health professional. There is hope, there is healing, and you deserve it.